Right now, in this exact moment, an individual holding immense weight, authority, and real influence in the world is paying attention to you. Someone whose name carries weight when spoken in high-level rooms, someone who moves through life with total ease because they earned their seat, has quietly stopped in their tracks to observe you. This is not some casual, fleeting instance of someone passively clicking on your profile or liking a post in passing. It is a deliberate, focused pause that interrupted their momentum. The strange thing is, you are completely oblivious to it. You are going about your routine, managing your day, taking care of business, and perhaps even wrestling with a quiet wave of exhaustion or heavy self-doubt this week. Yet entirely outside your conscious awareness, somewhere in the background, a powerful entity is watching your trajectory with sharp, calculated interest. They are someone with the exact leverage required to unlock doors you have not even thought to knock on yet. They possess the capacity to accelerate your life in ways your mind cannot fully process right now, simply because it sounds too surreal, too coincidental, or like a script reserved for someone else. But hear me clearly when I tell you this. It is entirely real. It is actively unfolding, and it is far from a random twist of fate. No, this is definitely not random, nor is it a mere coincidence. That is because individuals who occupy high positions, command real resources, and navigate life with strategic precision do not pay attention to anyone without a reason. They are not bored. They are not mindlessly scrolling through the world looking for superficial distraction. Their time is structured, their focus is heavily guarded, their trust is brutally hard-earned, and their genuine interest is remarkably rare. Therefore, if a person of that caliber happens to be impressed by you, intrigued by your presence, and actively monitoring you from wherever they sit, it means something about your substance is utterly undeniable. Something about how you move has cut straight through the surrounding noise. Something about you made them sit up straight and ask themselves, who is that? Meanwhile, you are likely sitting there trying to talk yourself out of it, whispering to yourself that there is no possible way. You assume you have not done anything remarkable lately, that you lack the status, that you have no massive platform, and that you are far too invisible to ever draw that caliber of attention. But that exact pattern of thinking is precisely why recognizing this reality right now is so critical. The people who command genuine observation from high places are almost never the ones desperately performing for attention. They are not the loud, polished actors begging to be seen. Instead, they are the ones simply living with quiet authenticity. They are the ones showing up consistently, carrying their weight, and standing firmly in their truth without offering an apology to the room. As it turns out, true authority does not lock on to people who desperately crave spotlight. It locks onto individuals whose presence carries an unavoidable gravitational pull. There is something distinct about the way you handle your trials, how you carry your dignity, the quiet weight behind your words, and the simple, undeniable fact that you survived what was meant to destroy you. That resilience remains visible, even in the moments when you assume nobody is watching. It shows in the way you refuse to break under pressure. It shines through the cold, refined strength you forged after walking straight through the fire, without letting it consume your soul. It is a depth that can never be manufactured, borrowed, or faked. That kind of inner energy refuses to vanish into thin air. It radiates outward, sending subtle shockwaves through the space around you. The person currently circling in your background recognizes that specific frequency because they had to cultivate that exact same depth within themselves to reach where they are today. They never reached their position by being average or easily distracted. They arrived there by being relentless, staying strategic, and spotting the crucial details that everyone else overlooks. Right now, they are looking directly at you, and this goes far beyond a lucky fluke or simple timing. There is a genuine, deliberate alignment taking place. A distinct convergence of circumstances has brought you to this exact threshold while simultaneously drawing their focus straight toward your orbit. What makes this so compelling is that truly powerful people do not waste energy attempting to align with someone unless they sense a shared frequency, unless they feel an undeniable resonance, a recognition that you are operating on a level that mirrors their own highest potential. The fact that this person is intrigued by you means they have spotted something inside your character that they rarely witness in the general crowd. They have recognized your competence, your quiet authenticity, your refusal to compromise, or something even rarer, a distinct, unnameable authority that cannot be faked. They are seeing you in ways you have not even fully permitted yourself to see yet. Perhaps you have felt this subtle shift occurring in your own life over the past few weeks. Perhaps you have been waking up with a strange, persistent sense of anticipation, feeling as though you are standing on the precipice of a massive shift, even if you cannot quite put a name to it. You have likely experienced that steady, low-frequency expectation throbbing beneath the routine of your ordinary days. You know exactly what that feels like. It is that quiet instinct that causes you to look up, expecting a change, or the subtle intuition that makes your heart skip a beat when an unexpected shift occurs around you. That is not anxiety, and it is not wishful thinking. That is pure alignment. Your internal radar is simply picking up on the changing air pressure around your path, sensing the winds of your life starting to redirect, actively preparing you for what is already in motion. When you connect with an individual of true authority and reach, it is never merely about the meeting itself. It is about what that encounter represents for your entire path. It represents your long-standing quiet labor finally being acknowledged. It represents the reality that you are being pulled into a vastly expanded version of your life, a space where you are surrounded by peers who match your depth, your ambition, and your capacity. The individuals you encounter at those higher levels do not merely open physical doors for you. They validate the internal work you have been doing all along. They reflect back to you the very foundation you have been constructing, even during the seasons when you felt completely unnoticed. When a powerful person actively seeks to connect with you, it serves as undeniable proof that you have evolved into someone worth knowing. And we need to be extremely clear about what this looks like when it actually manifests in real time. This is not some theatrical movie script where a stranger dramatically hands you a check in the middle of a crowded street. Real life operates through much more strategic, subtle, and powerful channels. This shift often begins through quiet channels, a mutual connection casually dropping your name in a closed-door meeting, a figure of influence silently tracking your projects and recognizing your vision, or an industry leader realizing that your specific resilience and skill set form the exact missing piece they require for their next move. It happens through strategic eyes quietly observing your consistency, compiling data, and realizing that you are the exact individual they need to align with. What makes this realization so intense is how it stirs up an immediate conflict deep within your mind. The moment you begin to register that someone of genuine power is taking notice of you, two opposing forces trigger simultaneously. First comes the sudden surge of exhilaration, the absolute thrill of finally having your long, silent efforts validated. But right behind it arrives an immediate wave of internal resistance, a sudden residue of self-doubt that whispers, "Why me? What could I possibly offer someone at that level? Am I truly worth this kind of attention?" You must identify that second voice immediately, because it is the only remaining barrier standing between you and the full realization of this moment. That doubt is nothing more than old, outdated residue left behind from every season you were overlooked, every time you gave your absolute best and received zero recognition, and every instance where you were made to feel small. That voice belongs to your past, and it has no authority in the room you are about to step into. The truth of the matter is that this individual is drawn to you precisely because you possess deep, undeniable substance. You carry a specific internal weight that cannot be manufactured, bought, or copied. You possess an essence that acts like an absolute magnet for people who are utterly exhausted by superficial, surface-level noise. High-level operators spend their lives surrounded by people wearing masks, people who only want to extract resources from them, and people who repeat the exact same scripted conversations that lead nowhere. The person heading toward your orbit is someone who actively craves depth. They value authenticity above all else, and they are actively searching for something genuine to align with. They are looking for someone who has been tested by life and came out intact, because they know that kind of integrity is the rarest currency on the market. This impending encounter goes far beyond a convenient career opportunity. It is an act of real recognition. It is an external confirmation of the very truth you have only recently begun to accept about yourself. We drastically underestimate how transformative it feels to be seen clearly by someone whose opinion carries real weight, Someone who has zero obligation to offer you their time, yet does so out of raw respect for what you have built in the dark. That specific form of validation alters how you walk into every room moving forward. It hands you a calm, unshakable confidence that no self-help book or artificial exercise could ever produce. It forces you to stand at your full height, speak with absolute clarity, and move forward with the quiet understanding that your presence is valid. Now let us map out what this looks like as it unfolds in your day-to-day existence. Because you do not simply wake up tomorrow morning sitting in a private office across from this individual. There is a natural sequence. There are distinct signals that begin to surface in your environment long before the actual conversation takes place. You may have already noticed a strange shift in how the world is interacting with you recently. Perhaps you are seeing an unexpected uptick in attention, or drawing in people who operate at a distinctly higher level than your usual circle. You might notice strangers treating you with a different level of baseline respect, or finding that your words carry an unfamiliar weight in group settings. You might even notice doors opening with far less friction than before. While you might be tempted to dismiss these shifts as random coincidence or a brief lucky streak, they are nothing of the sort. It is simply your external reality reshaping itself to match the quiet authority you have built inside. What makes this dynamic even more compelling is that this powerful figure is not looking at you merely as a passing curiosity. They genuinely want to see you win. They are looking at your path with an active intent to champion your momentum. In many cases, when an established, high-level operator looks at someone like you, they see a direct reflection of their younger self. They recognize that same raw, unpolished hunger, that same refusal to yield to circumstance, and that same quiet stubbornness that carried them through their own darkest trials. Because authentic, powerful people, the ones who value true substance over empty prestige, feel a deep, instinctual drive to elevate raw talent whenever they spot it in the wild. They remember precisely what it felt like to build an entire life completely from scratch. They remember the bitter cold of early ambition, the isolation of working late into the night when no one believed in them, and the overwhelming weight of carrying a vision alone. So when their path crosses someone who embodies that exact same fire, they feel an immediate, undeniable pull to reach out and shorten the curve for you. However, you must fix one critical distinction in your mind right now. They are not coming to rescue you. That distinction is everything. They are not showing up to play savior to a victim, nor are they looking for someone to carry like dead weight. They are approaching to partner with an equal. They are stepping into your life because they sense that you are already capable, already standing on your own 2 feet, and completely clear-headed about who you are. There is a massive, unbridgeable chasm between someone who wants to help you build and someone who wants to use you for their own agenda. This person respects your trajectory, which means they view you as a peer in potential, even if your current access and resources differ. That mutual respect is priceless. It guarantees that when they sit down across from you, they will actually listen to what you have to say. They will assign real weight to your perspective, treat your ideas with serious consideration, and engage with you as a rising force rather than a charitable cause. Imagine that exact moment when the path finally clears and the meeting occurs. Picture the atmospheric shift in the room. It rarely looks like the chaotic noise of the everyday world. More often than not, it takes place in an environment that feels remarkably quiet, understated, and intensely deliberate. A space designed around privacy, focus, and real presence. It might take the form of an uninterrupted one-on-one conversation where all the surrounding noise fades away, leaving only 2 sharp minds measuring each other's weight. Or it might happen inside a small group setting where, the moment you are introduced, you feel the dynamic in the room subtly pivot toward you. You feel the collective focus shift as people realize that you are not there to ask for favors but to bring value. In that exact moment, your only responsibility is to remain completely grounded in who you are. No elaborate front, no rehearsed speech, and no fake persona calculated to impress. Simply stand as the calm, authentic, battle-tested individual you have quietly developed into through years of unseen effort. because that exact version of you, the one forged in the quiet, unglamorous trenches of your past trials, is the precise person they came looking for. The moment you grasp that fundamental truth, every drop of performative anxiety instantly evaporates. You stop worrying about whether you belong in the room, because you realize the room was opened specifically to receive your presence. And what unfolds after that initial connection is made? It initiates a total restructuring of your trajectory. It leads to strategic alliances, joint ventures that pool your unique depth with their vast leverage, and mentorship that teaches you how to comfortably navigate corridors of power that used to feel entirely off-limits. It unlocks pathways that clear away years of unnecessary struggle, allowing you to execute your real potential without constantly fighting against artificial friction. To navigate this shift successfully, you must master the art of holding this outcome with an open hand. You cannot grip it with frantic desperation, you cannot act needy, and you must never project the heavy, suffocating energy of someone begging for a break. Frantic energy is magnetic in reverse. It repels the exact opportunities, respect, and high-level alignments you are seeking. When you are desperately hunting for a door to open or constantly pleading for validation, you project a subtle weakness that alerts high-level operators to back away. That is precisely why this figure is arriving in your orbit right now, at this exact juncture of your life. They are showing up because you finally stopped begging. You stopped looking outward for cheap validation. You successfully gathered your scattered focus, reclaimed your personal authority from every toxic situation you previously leaked it to, and quietly put your head down. You did the messy, agonizing, invisible work that no one else was there to applaud. That silent internal labor is what transformed your presence into something undeniably magnetic. You are ready for this transition, not because you have suddenly achieved some impossible state of human perfection, but because you are completely real. In a world saturated with synthetic personalities and cheap performance, being real is the rarest, most lethal asset you can possess. It acts as an absolute beacon for individuals who operate at the highest tiers of society. There is an ancient, unwritten rule among true leaders and builders. They can spot a rising force from across a crowded, chaotic room long before the general public catches on. They can sense when an individual is standing directly on the threshold of a massive, unstoppable breakthrough. When they spot that specific frequency, something shifts inside them. They want to connect early. They want to align with your upward trajectory before the rest of the world realizes what you are, so they can look back later and know they recognized your caliber before the tide came in. If that dynamic is actively taking shape around you right now, it is because you have been quietly ascending even during the moments when your own vision was clouded by fatigue. You have been evolving. You have been refining your boundaries, shedding dead weight, and maturing into someone vastly more capable than the person who first entered the fire. This internal evolution often signals its arrival through subtle, persistent synchronicities in your daily routine. You might find yourself repeatedly encountering specific names, running into strange patterns of numbers, or finding yourself in conversations that feel oddly scripted, as if the universe is testing your reactions in advance. A casual acquaintance might offhandedly drop a piece of information that triggers an immediate spark of recognition deep in your chest, or you might experience a vivid, unmistakable dream of stepping into a room of authority that leaves you disoriented upon waking. These occurrences are not random glitches in your day. They are subtle indicators that your external environment is bending to match the momentum you have generated on the inside. They are the initial markers along a path designed to bring you face to face with an alignment that will fundamentally redefine your future. Do not ignore these markers. Pay attention to them, record them, and observe how your surroundings are subtly shifting. Most importantly, hear these words with total clarity. You are not too small for this level of exposure. You are not underqualified. You are not too late to the game. And you are certainly not an accidental beneficiary of good luck. You have been systematically tested by every ordeal life threw at you, and the simple fact that you are still standing, still operating with integrity, and still refusing to break is all the proof the ledger requires. Your timing is absolute perfection. Your internal capacity expands with every single day that you choose discipline over surrender, and the individual currently preparing to step into your path is going to introduce a leverage point that completely reshapes how you view your own potential. This shift will not necessarily occur by tomorrow morning, but it is moving toward you with absolute certainty, and your only job is to begin aligning your internal state right now. Not in a frantic, hyperventilating manner where you attempt to force outcomes or obsessively monitor every message, but in a calm, grounded, deeply aware, and open stance. Stop talking yourself out of the very real reality that you carry weight. Stop telling yourself that you need to be completely flawless before you deserve to sit at high-level tables, because readiness is never a stagnant, polished state of perfection. It is a conscious stance of unshakable presence, and you have already earned that stance. Through every trial you survived, every silent tear you wiped away in the dark, and every quiet promise you kept to yourself when no one was watching. That is why the universe is responding in kind. That is why the higher forces governing your path are stepping in to clear away the artificial barriers that previously kept you trapped in low-level loops. They are not simply handing out cheap luck or throwing random good fortune your way to appease you. They are confirming the exact energy you set into motion the moment you chose to endure rather than break. Really think about what you have survived up to this point. You have navigated brutal seasons, agonizing betrayals, and crushing setbacks that would have completely destroyed a weaker spirit. Yet here you sit, still standing, still operating with calm dignity, still willing to trust your vision, and still refusing to allow bitterness to poison your heart. That is not weakness, and it is not an accident. That is the rarest form of strength that exists on this earth, and it is precisely the kind of strength that magnetizes powerful people toward your orbit. Individuals who have built real authority from the ground up intimately understand what it costs to survive the fire. They know the agonizing price of pulling yourself up for one more round when your legs are shaking and your energy is entirely drained. Because of that shared history, they can spot that exact resilience in you from a mile away. They recognize the cold fortitude you quietly forged in private isolation. They see your inherent dignity, and they respect it deeply. They notice the quiet grace you maintained through devastating seasons, even during the moments when you felt anything but graceful on the inside. It leaves an indelible impression on them, one that communicates loud and clear that you are completely legitimate, that you are the real deal, and that aligning with you is an absolute necessity for their next phase as well. You must also understand that this upcoming encounter serves as a profound test of your personal evolution. Not a punishing, malicious trap designed to expose your flaws, but a powerful catalyst engineered to measure your capacity. It tests your ability to hold a high frequency, to maintain your composure in rooms that used to intimidate you, and to step into massive opportunity without shrinking back into old patterns of self-doubt. You are fully prepared for this moment. Every heartbreak, every silent disappointment, every door that slammed in your face, and every moment of crippling uncertainty that you successfully transmuted into calm resolve was quietly prepping you for this exact interaction. When you finally stand face to face across from this person, everything will instantly click into place with absolute clarity. You will look back across the entire timeline of your life and realize that every drop of pain, every season of isolation, and every agonizing delay was not punishment, it was preparation. It was all guiding you directly to this exact threshold. So lean completely into this shift. Do not shrink back into the shadows. Do not lower your gaze, and do not pretend for a single second that you do not belong in the room. Own your stance entirely. This powerful figure did not randomly select your name out of a crowd by accident. They saw your light, they observed your consistency, and they chose to pay attention. That choice is a direct reflection of your depth, your resilience, and the undeniable truth of who you have become. Let all of that settle deep into your foundation. Let it quiet the lingering noise of your past trials and guide you forward into your next steps with unshakable composure. You do not need to fight, plead, or scheme for this outcome to unfold. The next chapter of your life, the one defined by high-level alignment, undeniable recognition, and doors opening wide before you, is already written into the ledger. The trial is complete. The verdict is delivered, You passed. Now, all that remains is for you to step forward and occupy the space that has been cleared for you.